E.J. Liddell and Malaki Branham receive all conference honors, observations from the Buckeyes' first spring practice, and how Jim Knowles views Kourt Williams. All that and more right here on Locked on Buckeyes.
You are Locked on Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Buckeye fans? Welcome back to another episode of Locked on Buckeyes for the Locked on Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast. It is Wednesday, March the 9th in the year 2022, and today's episode is brought to you by Rock Auto. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. Visit rockauto.com and tell them Locked on sent you. I would also like to thank everyone out there for making Locked on Buckeyes their first listen of every day. We are free and available wherever you get your fine podcast. E.J. Liddell, Malachi Branham were at the forefront of the coaches and media members' minds as they filled out their end-of-year first team all-conference, second team all-conference brackets, first team all-defense brackets, and handed out Player of the Year awards. Liddell had some awards, and Malachi Branham had some as well. E.J. Liddell found his name on both the media and coaches' first team all-conference teams, and he was a part of the all-defense team for the conference as well. Malachi Branham, Big Ten Freshman of the Year, as well as being on third team all-conference in the all-freshman team. Third team all-conference voted on by the media members and the coaches. Liddell's decision to come back to school and go through the pre-draft process and then to come back to school was a big one and a huge one, and is a big reason why he is probably going to be an NBA lottery pick in the upcoming NBA draft. Malachi Branham, we all knew he had the potential to be special. Some of you saw him play in high school at St. Vincent, St. Mary. A lot of us heard and talked about him, even here on the podcast, contacting Jim Jackson, requesting to wear the number that is in the rafters that Jim Jackson had retired. Also a number that Michael Redd wore as well. You're a guy that many Buckeye fans have been excited to watch play basketball. You wear a retired number, and then you show the world that you have earned the right to seek out that number that you wear on the front and back of your jersey. Liddell this year upped his average in points from 16.2 last year to 19.4 this year. He is up also in the rebounding category, 6.7 last year, 7.9 this year, averaging 2.6 assists, up from 1.8 last year. And I think the most astonishing thing for me when looking at just some general numbers for E.J. Liddell, last year he averaged 1.1 blocks per game. This year he's averaging 2.6. So when you look at the field goal percentage, he is up in almost every category, everyone. Field goal percentage up to 49.5 for 47.4 last year. He's up in his 2-point percentage, 54.5, and he's up in his 3-point shooting as well at 37.5%. Malachi Branham, the freshman, the flourishing freshman, as I've recently started to call him, 13.2 points per game for the Ohio State Buckeyes, averaging 3.6 rebounds per game, 1.9 assists per game. The best thing about him that I love, shooting 49% from the field, 43.6% from downtown. Those numbers are things that you look at and you say, well, Jay, those are great numbers. Who else is on these teams with these guys? First team all conference, Kofi Cockburn, Johnny Davis, Keegan Murray, Jaden Ivey. They joined the first team all conference with E.J. Liddell. All of those guys there, those are guys that you're going to be watching in the Big Ten tournament. And also, they can make splashes and they can propel their team to go deeper in the NC2A tournament. In regards to Third team all-conference, Brad Davison. Some of y'all don't like him. Bryce McGowan from Nebraska, Travion Williams, and Alonzo Plummer. Those are the gentlemen that are on the All-Big Ten third team. Don't need to go any further and talk about the stats, the numbers, or what somebody else's thoughts may be about these two gentlemen. Ohio State would not be the team that they are without either one of these two gentlemen on the team. Think about their injuries. Think about what Chris Holtmann has had to do game after game after game. Many of you and myself have been critical of Chris Holtmann and the decisions that he has made. But when you look at this roster, look at this team, and some of you do this all the time in the YouTube comments, and I want to say thank you for reminding everyone about the current status and what Chris Holtmann has to go through every single day. Some guys, when they don't have their number two, even if the number two is, say, maybe not their best friend, but they don't have their number two scorer coming off of a year that Ohio State had last year, they're not that same player. Liddell knew that without Justice Sueing, his play had to go up. Now, would it be offensively, would it be defensively, or would it be every aspect of the game? The latter part. Every aspect of the game has gotten better, has gotten stronger for Liddell. And it's very, very clear and evident to see that from the blocks that he has, from his defensive versatility, to him being able to hit you and beat you at every single level on the offensive end. Liddell has been amazing. But then you add a youngster that some people have recently said could go in the NBA draft. If he put his name in there this year, he could be a one-and-done player, something that Chris Holtmann has never had as a college basketball coach. I would not suggest that Malachi Branham go to the NBA right now. I did see a mock draft, had him going 41st overall. If you want me to tell you what team was there? Honestly, not going to lie, I didn't even see it. I was really amazed that his play this year has put him in a mock draft for the upcoming NBA draft. Malachi Branham has been amazing. I would suggest he stay in school, get stronger, polish his craft, get better at handling the ball, stop having so many loose dribbles and losing the ball at that way, and then see what happens next year. Lottery pick this year in Liddell, probably going to happen. Possible lottery pick next year in Branham, I think it'll happen next year if he stays. And I do think these two guys this year, with what they have done, it's very exciting to see. I'm down with this team, but if Liddell and Branham go off, Ohio State can prove some people wrong that have said Ohio State won't go far in either the Big Ten Conference tournament or the NCAA tournament. I'm one of those guys. I don't think they will. But these two gentlemen that receive all conference honors, they can help Ohio State prove the doubters wrong. I can't wait to see what they do over the next few weeks in both the Big Ten Conference tournament and the NCAA tournament as well. Thanks again for making Locked On Buckeyes your first listen every day. Make sure to check out the Locked On Bracket Breakdown March 14th right here on the Locked On Buckeyes podcast feed and YouTube channel. College basketball experts Chris Gordy, Andy Patton, and betting expert Lee Sterling give you in-depth breakdowns on every matchup. Many people out there, myself included, can't deny it, have been looking forward to the start of spring practice. The boys are back on the field. We get to see every player, well, hopefully not every player, almost every player, a lot of them, so many players out there on the field doing their thing and seeing smiles on their face, seeing them in pads and seeing how much weight they have put on. I saw a picture recently of Emeka Egbuka, Marvin Harrison Jr., in a group picture. It was actually not really a group. It was three wide receivers, and them boys look big. I think it was them two and Cam Babb. Them boys look healthy. Them boys look like they've been hitting them weights hard. And Marvin Harrison Jr. already has some muscle on him. But, man, let me tell you, that boy been going harder in that weight room. He has some stuff that his daddy didn't have. Marvin Harrison was, maybe 175? His son, like 210, 215. Got that good weight. Defenders are not going to want to get a stiff arm from Junior in the upcoming season. But that's only one observation. We got a few observations from the Buckeyes' very first spring practice. The starting offensive line, when the O-line was going through drills, was kind of what we have talked about here on the podcast. in my projected depth chart, and then also yesterday, we're talking about position battles. Paris Johnson Jr., left tackle, Matt Jones, Luke Whippler being the center once again, Donovan Jackson, and then DeJuan Jones, right tackle. Matt Jones and Donovan Jackson would be the starting guards for the Buckeyes. When it comes to the defensive backs, in drills, the first team goes as follows: Denzel Burke, Legend Cavazos, Ronnie Hickman, and Kourt Williams. Now, keep in mind, the first team is probably going to be your starters, will be your starters. Josh Proctor, Cam Brown, and Lathan Ransom did not practice. You got to think Proctor. Josh Proctor lost my spot on my paper. Josh Proctor, Cam Brown, and will be in the starting lineup. Cavazos comes out. Kourt Williams comes out. Lathan Ransom is one that I don't think starts in this upcoming season, even if he did not get injured in the Rose Bowl. The second group for the defensive backs, Jordan Hancock and Jacqueline Johnson, were the corners, and then Bryson Shaw and Tanner McAllister, the Oklahoma State transfer following his D coordinator from Oklahoma State, were the second group of defensive backs. There was an emphasis on takeaways. And when the takeaways are emphasized, you're going to want to make sure that players aren't just being sloppy, that every single movement, every action is something that's thought through, and it's somewhat instinctual. How do you get instincts, or how do you gain instincts? Proper practice. Properly practicing the right methods, properly practicing the right moves. And there's no better time to start that than the first day at practice. And I love that Jim Knowles is doing this now, implementing some things that he wants to happen on the field in the fall. He's doing those things now so the players know what I'm learning now, and I'm getting some different instincts into my game. It can happen once I'm on the field in the fall in the regular season of the upcoming season. There was something interesting that he did. There was a moment that Jim Knowles coached the defensive line and Larry Johnson coached the linebackers. Jim Knowles is the defensive coordinator and linebackers coach. Larry Johnson, as we know, is the defensive line coach. So when Jim Knowles coached the D-line, he went through fumble recovery drills with the D-line. That is something that he will go through with his linebackers. But, of course, with a defensive lineman, you're not going to be in a 2-point stance 4 to 5 yards off the line of scrimmage. You're going to be in a 3-point stance right up on the line of scrimmage. And you're going to be coming at a different trajectory sometimes than the linebacker. Let's just say that you're still attached to, or you're trying to shed your blocker. You're the tackle. That's a tackle that you're going up against to get a pass rush. Next thing you know, there's a fumble. Well, you being right there where the fumble is, where the quarterback fumbles the ball, your body is going to be in a different spot, not just pad level, but just link space to the ball than it would be if that was a linebacker in that same position. And so I do like this, and I do like that Jim Knowles is not afraid to shake things up a little bit. I love that aspect of what Jim Knowles brings to Ohio State. At this time, when Jim Knowles was coaching the D-line, Larry Johnson coaching the LBs, the linebackers, he was working on a pass rush drill. So Larry Johnson coaching linebackers to do what Larry Johnson knows best. Jim Knowles coaching the D-line to do things that he knows best. I like what is going on with the coaches. You had Perry Eliano and Tim Walton working together at times and then separately with their own position groups to make sure things are working together as a well-oiled machine. I don't know how often this happens in practices around the country, but some early signs of what I'm seeing now and seeing the response from the players, things that are going on at Ohio State are things you will like and love during the season. Yes, it's only March. I am not a fan of hyperbole. I don't even like doing so many projections and predictions for things that are going to happen in the fall. But if this continues, and if Ryan Day knows something about Jim Knowles that he realized in these interviews, it is going to be huge, absolutely huge, to watch this team play football in the fall, because they are going to be so well-rounded as players that the opposition will not want to see them on the field. Cade Stover was at linebacker. Even though if you looked at the official roster that came out earlier this year, he was at tight end. Cade Stover was at linebacker. Jackson Smith and Jigba was the first-team punt returner. Yeah, buddy, first-team punt returner. And then I'm trying to find something very quickly. There was something else I was looking at, and I misplaced that part. But there were some number changes that were going. I'm still going to try to find what I was trying to find earlier that just escaped me. But there were some number changes. Some of them you'll love because you'll see players are doing certain things with their numbers. And then you'll find, well, some are just players changing their numbers. Cam Babb. Oh, that's what I meant to say earlier. Cam Babb is a full go right now. He's back at practice. He's full go, ready to go. He is coming off an ACL tear, something that happened about a year ago this time. For him to be at full go, going at full strength, is huge, and this team is going to be able to utilize Cam Babb in a big way on the field. He is wearing number 1. Emeka Egbuka changed his number to number 2. Mayan Williams changed his number to number 3. Cade Stover, number 8. Let's keep going. CJ Hicks, number 11. Tanner McAllister, number 15. Devin Brown, the 4-star quarterback that committed to Ohio State right after Quinn Ewers announced his transfer, is wearing number 15. Let's keep going. Chip Trainum, the running back transfer from Arizona State. Name is Diamante, but he said he's going to go by Chip. He's number 19. Let's keep going. A few more. Donovan Jackson, number 72. Bennett Christian, number 85. G. Scott Jr., number 88. And then Caden Curry, 4-star D-line commit from Greenwood, Indiana, Center Grove High School, wearing number 92. Observations from the first day of practice. Oh, it was another one I saw. They had Poly Oti, the linebacker, at the gunner on punt return on punt team. Interesting. He's a little hefty for that, but the coaches know what they're doing. I'm excited to see what happens next, and keep your eyes out for more good things coming from the Ohio State while they're in practice during the spring. The YouTube subscriptions keep coming in, and I want to thank you for your participation and really helping this channel continue to grow. Remember, everybody, if you have not already subscribed to the Locked on Buckeyes YouTube channel, hit the like button on this video and on every video on this channel. Leave a comment. 2, 3, 4, 5. It does not matter. Leave all the comments because it's an easy way to help more people know about the podcast and to help people engage in conversation about some things that you see, you watch, you view about this football and even basketball teams. Jim Knowles is a wise man. Didn't take very long for Buckeye fans, Buckeye coaches to realize how wise Jim Knowles is. The first time you meet him and talk to him, I am sure you will realize this man ain't normal. He ain't normal at all. But a lot of times those coaches, those gentlemen, those individuals that not just gentlemen, women that aren't normal, that have a few things odd up there in their head, sometimes those are the most intriguing individuals. Sometimes those are the individuals that you love to spend time with, that you love to talk to, and you love to hear their thoughts about what's going on or the subject that is at hand. Well, Jim Knowles is a coach that knows that he's learning the talent that's on his team, on the team, not his team, but on this football team. And Jim Knowles views a certain player in Kourt Williams in a certain way that he sees him on the field this year. Jim Knowles is using a 3-safety look. Now it's going to be your boundary safety, your free safety, and your strong safety. Boundary safety has responsibilities. Free safety kind of rolls, and he is the adjuster. And then your strong safety has different responsibilities as well. But the safeties are possibly the biggest piece of this defense. So when you think about Kourt Williams, that he played 7 games last year, had 28 total tackles, 4 tackles for loss, and 1 sack. This is someone, oh, my bad. I forgot one other stat. 1 pass breakup. This is someone that many Buckeye fans have been pushing to get on the field. Ronnie Hickman played well last year, led the team in tackles. But is there room for Hickman and Kourt Williams to play on the field together? I think so. I think there is. This is what Jim Knowles has to say about Kourt Williams and his possible role with the football team at The Ohio State University. Quote, I think right now, from where I saw Kourt from last year and his leadership skills, this is a safety-driven defense. It really is. And he's been playing a lot at our boundary safety position, which we call bandit. We feel like he can get into the run fit there when we want him. We feel that he's a guy who's a leader. Off the field, when I watched him in the weight room, he's a worker. He's a leader. So I like him with more depth and vision to be able to see the ball and to control kind of the movements of the secondary, end quote. He goes on to say more about the potential role that Kourt Williams has in this defense. Quote, the answer is yes, I do envision them both playing together. End quote. Them playing together is Ronnie Hickman and Kourt Williams. I'll keep going. Quote, I just think Hickman's a heads-up guy. I think he's a football player. He understands defense. He communicates. He's got a great personality. He's everything I want in a safety. So I definitely want him on the field, and I want Kourt on the field too, end quote. With what we saw from Ronnie Hickman last year, playing a new position, but still not really the variation that I think many people expected when you heard Ohio State was moving to a 4-2-5 defense, and knowing how well Kourt Williams plays on the field, and knowing how I think he should have been on the field more last year with the way that the rotation was going, we're going to see these two gentlemen possibly playing on the field together. That's huge. I mean, Kourt Williams, I believe, is 6 foot, let me get this correct, 6'1", 220. That's a good size safety. That's a guy that can be a thumper, a hard hitter, somebody that guys don't want to come up against. You're playing football in the Midwest. It's going to get cold. It might snow. It might sleet. You have no idea what the weather's going to do in November. We're not playing a 12-team playoff or an 8-team playoff where you're going to have potentially a home first-round game on campus. Even though Gene Smith doesn't want that, that's possibly going to be what's on the table and what's going to happen. You don't want to play guys like Kourt Williams in that cold weather because he's going to hit you and hit you and hit you, and he ain't going to stop. And the more he hits you when it's 25 degrees outside, but it feel like 15 degrees outside, your body going to say, oh, no, it ain't going to happen. I'm going to back away, cower away, because I don't want to go up against that guy. Not only is he good, but it's cold. That combination, I don't want nothing, no part of it. I'm curious. Listening to Jim Knowles talk, he's very wise. He's very intelligent. He has no problem explaining the things that he's going to bring to the defense and that we're going to see on the field. But if Jim Knowles thinks these two guys could be on the field together and flourish, I'm here for it. Jim Knowles not only is a good coach, leader of the defense, he's also a great explainer in helping people understand what is going to happen on the field. I'm a believer, and I believe that if Jim Knowles thinks this is going to work and is wise, why not go for it? Guys, it's a great day. It's the middle of the week. It's a Wednesday, and let's enjoy this week. The Buckeyes play basketball tomorrow night. They play the winner of Penn State and Minnesota. That game's tonight. Watch that game, get a little appetizer, a little teaser for the Big Ten tournament before the Buckeyes play the late game on Thursday evening. You can follow me on Twitter at jstevens07. If you want to send me an email, send your email to jstevens317@gmail.com. I want to thank you for making Locked On Buckeyes your first listen every day. Now is the perfect time to make your second listen Locked On NFL Draft. Ryan Tracy and former NFL cornerback Eric Crocker bring the NFL Draft to life every day with insight and analysis on college football prospects and NFL front offices. It's free and available wherever you get your fine podcasts. For this Wednesday, middle of the week edition of Locked On Buckeyes, I'm your host, Jay Stevens. We'll talk basketball tomorrow as the Buckeyes play in the Big Ten Conference Tournament.